Lyra crouched quietly on the cold metal floor of her small observation pod, eyes glowing softly in the dark. She was not like other girls of her kind. She was curious, too curious about the strange species called humans. Stories had spread across the galaxy, whispered in fear and fascination. The elders said that human males had a bizarre habit. They said, "Be careful, child. Human males eat their females." No one knew exactly what that meant, but it sounded horrifying. Lyra didn't believe in rumors. She needed to see for herself. For weeks, she orbited the blue planet Earth, watching, learning, and taking notes. She saw humans walking together, talking, laughing, holding hands. But she had not yet seen the terrible ritual the elders had described. She was growing restless. One evening, her scanners detected a couple walking into a quiet park hidden by trees and soft lights. The male and female looked happy, their voices low and playful. This was her chance. Lyra's ship cloaked itself and she descended silently, hiding behind thick bushes. Her eyes focused on them like a hunter watching prey. The human male stood tall, his arm wrapped gently around the female. They sat on a bench, close together, speaking in a language Lyra had already learned to understand. "I missed you," the male whispered. "Me too," the female replied, her voice soft and full of affection. Then it began. The male leaned forward, his lips pressing against the female's. Lyra gasped quietly. Was this it? Was this how the ritual started? But the female wasn't afraid. She smiled, closing her eyes, returning the gesture with a gentle kiss. Lyra was puzzled. Where was the violence? The biting? The devouring? She waited, watching closely, determined not to miss a single detail. The male kissed her neck next, his teeth gently pressing against her skin. The female let out a soft giggle, tilting her head to give him more access. Lyra's eyes widened. This must be it, she thought. He's eating her. But why is she laughing? She scribbled notes furiously on her device. Human male begins by consuming the female's neck. The female responds positively. Unknown reason for pleasure during consumption. She could not understand. On her planet, a bite was a sign of danger, of aggression. Yet here, the female looked happy, excited even. She didn't pull away. She wanted more. Lyra's heart pounded in her chest. She didn't know why, but a strange feeling bubbled inside. Her curiosity mixed with jealousy. She shook her head. No, it's just the mission, she reminded herself. Suddenly, the male whispered something to the female that made her blush deeply. Lyra's translator couldn't catch the low murmur, but the effect was clear. The female giggled, covering her face, then whispered back. Lyra was frustrated. What secret did they share? Why was it making them closer instead of the male finishing his meal? Minutes passed, and the couple stood up, holding hands, and walked away slowly, still laughing and touching. Lyra stayed hidden, her mind spinning. She expected to see a horrifying event, the kind that would confirm the galaxy's fears about humans. Instead, she saw affection, warmth, and joy. She whispered to herself, "This isn't eating, ... This is something else." But what? She couldn't report back without more evidence. The elders wanted proof. She had to understand. Maybe, just maybe, she needed to get even closer. She returned to her ship, replaying the memory again and again. The way the male held the female, the way she smiled under his touch, the way both of them seemed so happy in that strange ritual lit, all fascinated her. Lyra's small heart felt strange. She touched her own neck, imagining what it felt like. To be bitten like that, not to be harmed, but adored. She shook her head again. This is foolish. I need facts, not feelings. But she couldn't stop herself. She had to see more. She decided that next time she would not just watch from afar. She would follow a human male directly, perhaps even capture one for questioning. She needed answers, even if it meant breaking the rules of her mission as she prepared her ship to track the male. Her commander's voice crackled through the communicator. "Lyra, report. Have you witnessed the feeding ritual?" Lyra hesitated, then answered, "Commander, I have. But it's not what we thought. The human male did bite, but the female enjoyed it." She wanted more. It was ... confusing. There was a long silence before the commander replied, "This is troubling. We cannot leave with uncertainties. Capture a human male and bring him for interrogation. We must know the truth." Lyra gulped. This was serious. But a part of her felt excited. Soon she would stand face to face with a human male. She would ask him directly, why did he eat his female like that? And more importantly, why? Did she secretly wish to know what it felt like? As the ship's engines hummed, Lyra whispered to herself, "I'm not afraid. I just want to understand." But deep down, a part of her was trembling not from fear, but from curiosity she could no longer control. Lyra's small spacecraft hovered silently above the city, its sensors locked onto the human male she had seen in the park. His name was Jack, according to the data she had gathered from local networks. He seemed ordinary, nothing like the dangerous predator the galaxy believed human males to be. Still, Lyra couldn't ignore what she had witnessed. She had seen Jack bite the female softly, and instead of fear, the girl had smiled, blushed, and even asked for more. This ritual was far more complex than anyone back home could understand. Determined to learn the truth, Lyra tracked Jack. For days, he worked at a cafe, served drinks, smiled at customers, and laughed with friends. Nothing about him looked dangerous, yet every evening she noticed something strange. Jack always met a different woman, sometimes at a park, other times in quiet corners of the city. Every time, the pattern repeated. He kissed them, held them close, and nibbled their necks or ears gently. The women responded with laughter, sighs, and kisses of their own. It wasn't eating, it was something else. But what? Lyra was more confused than ever. On her planet, close contact was rare. Touch was reserved for family or combat, nothing in between. But humans seemed to crave touch, especially during these private moments. Lyra felt herself longing to understand, not just as a researcher, but deep inside, something personal stirred within her. She wanted to know what it felt like. She wanted to experience it. One night, after watching Jack share a long kiss with a tall woman near a fountain, Lyra made her decision. She couldn't just watch anymore. She needed to ask. Her ship's AI protested. "Warning, Lyra. Direct contact with humans is prohibited. Risk of contamination and exposure." "I don't care," Lyra whispered. "I need answers." She waited until Jack was walking alone, headphones in his ears, humming softly. He took a shortcut through a quiet alley. This was her chance. Lyra activated her cloaking suit, making her invisible to human eyes, and approached silently. Then, with a swift movement, she deactivated the cloak and stepped directly in front of him. Jack stopped abruptly, eyes wide. "Whoa, where did you come from?" Lyra's heart pounded, but she stood firm. "Don't be afraid. I'm not here to hurt you." Jack stared, stunned. She looked alien slender, with pale blue skin, large shimmering eyes, and short silver hair. Yet she was ... beautiful in a strange way. "You're not human," he said, almost in awe. "I'm not," Lyra admitted. "But I need to ask you something important." Jack chuckled nervously. "Sure, as long as you don't abduct me." Lyra tilted her head. "That was the plan, but I changed my mind." Jack blinked. Okay, that's good, I guess. Lyra stepped closer. Why do you eat your females? I've watched you. You bite their necks, their ears, ... yet they smile. They want more. Why? Jack stared at her, then burst into laughter. Lyra frowned, confused by his reaction. Wait, Jack said between laughs. You think I'm eating them? What my people believe, Lyra said seriously. That human males eat their partners. Jack wiped a tear from his eye from laughing so hard. No. That's not eating. That's affection. Kissing, teasing. It's a way of showing love or attraction. Lyra's eyes widened. So, ... no one is harmed. Not unless they want it rough, Jack joked. Then raised his hands quickly. I'm kidding. No, it's all about pleasure, connection. It feels good to be close to someone. Lyra's face flushed, her cheeks turning a soft, violet hue. Pleasure, connection. Jack nodded, his gaze softening. Yeah, it's about feeling close to someone, making them feel wanted, cared for. Lyra looked down, touching her own neck. We don't have this. Where I come from? Jack stepped closer, sensing her curiosity. Do you want to know what it feels like? Lyra's eyes shot up to meet his. She hesitated. She was trained not to get involved, but her mission was about understanding humans. And her heart something. Inside her was begging for this answer. Yes, she whispered. Jack smiled gently. I won't hurt you, I promise. He stepped closer, slowly, giving her time to step back if she wanted to. She didn't. Jack's hand rested lightly on her shoulder. His touch was warm, soft, and comforting. Then, with a gentle motion, he pressed his lips against her cheek. Lyra shivered, her skin sensitive to every sensation. He kissed her cheek again, then her forehead, then finally her neck, barely grazing her skin with his teeth. Lyra gasped. The feeling was ... electric. A wave of warmth spread through her chest, her legs weak. She didn't understand it, but it felt ... good. Safe. Wanted. She looked up at Jack, her voice trembling. That's not what I expected. Jack smiled. It's better, isn't it? Lyra nodded slowly. Yes, ... I think I understand now. For the first time in her life, Lyra felt something beyond curiosity. She felt connection. She wasn't just a spy anymore. She was a participant, a student of something deeply human. She smiled softly, her mind filled with new questions and new feelings she couldn't explain yet. Lyra returned to her ship that night, but her mind wasn't calm. She sat in her small quarters, staring out the window at the endless stars. Yet all she could think about was the strange human named Jack. His touch, his warmth, the way his lips had brushed her skin, it lingered on her like a soft heat that wouldn't leave. She touched her neck where he had kissed her. It wasn't a bite, not an attack. It was ... a gift. She didn't know why, but her chest felt tight remembering it. Her thoughts were interrupted by the sharp voice of her commander. Crackling through the communicator. Lyra, report immediately. What have you learned? Lyra hesitated. She couldn't lie. Commander, I made contact with the human male. The commander's tone turned harsh. You what? You exposed yourself to a primitive species. I had to understand, Lyra insisted. And I did. Humans don't eat their females. The biting we heard about is symbolic, part of their mating ritual. It expresses ... affection, connection. There was a long silence before the commander spoke again. Affection, connection. Ridiculous. You were compromised. I'm sending a retrieval ship. Return at once. But Lyra clenched her fists. No, Commander. I'm staying. I need more time. You're disobeying direct orders. Maybe, she admitted. But if we return without truly understanding, then the mystery remains. I can't do that. I need to know more. The commander's voice was filled with disgust. Fine, but if you won't bring data, bring us a specimen. Capture the human male. Bring him back to us for study. That is an order. The connection? Cut off. Lyra stood still, heart pounding. Could she really capture Jack? Bind him like some animal, just because her superiors demanded it. She didn't want that. She wanted to talk to him again, to understand not as a subject, but as ... a friend. Maybe something more. The next day, Lyra disguised herself using her technology. Blending in to look human, pale skin, dark hair, ordinary clothes. She found Jack at the cafe where he worked. He was serving coffee, laughing with customers, alive in a way her people never were. She watched him for hours, studying his movements, his smiles, the way he talked to others. There was no fear in him, just life, bright and warm. Finally, she gathered courage and approached him. "Jack," she whispered. He turned, surprised. His eyes lit up when he recognized her, despite her disguise. You came back." She nodded shyly. "I have more questions." Jack chuckled. "I was hoping you'd say that." They sat together at a small table in the corner. Lyra watched. People around them, human males and females, talking, laughing, even touching freely. Jack noticed her curiosity. "You don't have this ... on your world?" He asked gently. "We don't touch like this," she admitted. "Touch is for medical care, or violence, nothing in between." Jack smiled softly. "You're missing out." She looked down, voice quiet. "I think so too." Jack leaned forward. "So ... what do you want to know?" "Why?" she asked. "Why do humans touch, kiss, bite? If not to harm, what does it give you?" Jack thought for a moment. Connection. It's hard to explain, but it makes us feel close to someone. It says, "I care about you. I want you near me." It feels good, safe, and sometimes ... exciting. Lyra stared into his eyes. She remembered the warmth of his kiss. It did feel ... good. She admitted softly. Jack smiled. "See, it's not scary." But Lyra's mind was torn. She had a mission. She was supposed to capture him, take him to her world, yet sitting here, watching him smile, she couldn't imagine hurting him. He had shown her kindness, not fear. She didn't want to betray that. Then Jack surprised her. "You know, I'm not just showing you this because it's human. I like you, Lyra. You're different, in a good way." Her eyes widened. "Oh, you like me?" "Yeah," Jack said with a grin. "I've never met anyone like you. I don't care if you're an alien." Lyra's heart fluttered. She didn't fully understand the feeling, but it was warm and bright. No one on her planet had ever said something like that to her. She looked at him seriously. "Jack ... I was ordered to capture you, to take you to my world for study." Jack's smile faded, but he didn't look scared. "Will you?" She shook her head slowly. "No, I can't. I don't want to." Jack chuckled. "Good. I'm not great in cages." They both laughed. In that moment, something changed inside Lyra. She wasn't just an observer. She wasn't just a spy. She was a participant in something new, something she couldn't yet name. She wanted to stay, to learn, to feel. She wanted to know what it meant to be touched, not as a duty, but as desire. As the sun set outside the cafe window, casting golden light on their faces, Lyra realized she couldn't go back, not to her ship, not to her old life. She was part of this human world now, and maybe, just maybe, she'd let Jack teach her everything about human connection, one kiss at a time. Far above Earth, in the cold silence of orbit, The alien commander paced inside the control room of the observation cruiser. The holographic display showed Lyra's location still on the planet, still mingling with the human male, and still refusing orders. The commander's patience had run out. "She won't bring us the human? We'll retrieve him ourselves," he growled. A capture team of elite soldiers was dispatched immediately. Their mission clear: seize the human male and bring him back for examination. Whether Lyra agreed or not. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Lyra and Jack walked together through the park under the glow of evening lights. She was learning more about humans every day, how they smiled, joked, even flirted. Every time Jack brushed against her arm or gave her a playful grin, she felt a strange flutter inside her chest. She didn't understand it fully, but she liked it. Yet tonight, something felt wrong. The air was heavy. Lyra's senses twitched, detecting something hidden in the shadows. Her instincts screamed danger. She grabbed Jack's hand suddenly, pulling him to a stop. "We need to leave. Now? What? Why?" Jack asked, confused. But before she could answer, the sky above them shimmered with faint lights, an alien transport vessel descending under stealth mode. Almost invisible to human eyes. Lyra's heart sank. She knew that ship. The retrieval. SQUAD had come. She had disobeyed orders, and now they had come to take Jack by force. "Jack, listen to me," she said quickly. "They're coming for you, my people. I have to get you out of here." Jack's eyes widened. "Your people? But I thought no time." "Move," Lyra urged. They ran, but the alien soldiers were faster. Clad in shimmering armor, they teleported down, surrounding them in a flash of light. Energy rifles hummed, aimed straight at Jack. The lead soldier stepped forward, his voice cold. "Target acquired. Step away from the human Lyra." "No," she yelled, shielding Jack with her body. "You can't take him. You disobeyed direct orders." The soldier replied, "This human will be studied. Move aside or face consequences." Jack stared in disbelief. "Wait, study me? What does that mean?" "They'll lock you up," Lyra said, trembling. "They'll poke, prod, dissect, dot. They don't understand humans. They're scared of you." Jack swallowed hard. "And what about you?" "I'm not scared of you," she whispered. "I won't let them take you." But the soldiers didn't care for her protests. "Remove her," the leader commanded. 2 soldiers moved in, grabbing Lyra and pulling her away. She struggled, but their grip was too strong. Jack tried to help, throwing a punch, but it was like hitting steel. The soldiers knocked him down effortlessly. As Jack lay on the ground, dazed, the lead soldier pointed a device at him, preparing to teleport him aboard the ship. But Lyra screamed, summoning every bit of her strength. A sudden pulse of energy erupted from her body, a rare defensive ability her species rarely used. The shockwave sent the soldiers stumbling back. She broke free and dashed to Jack's side, pulling him up. "We have to run." They bolted into the woods, the soldiers in pursuit. Lyra's tech enhanced her speed, but Jack was only human. Shh. Grabbed his hand, urging him to keep moving. "There's an old facility nearby. If we can hide inside, I can cloak us." They made it to the abandoned structure, a crumbling warehouse at the forest's edge. Inside, Lyra activated her cloaking device, shielding them both from sensors, though barely. They huddled together in the darkness, breathing heavily. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't want this to happen." Jack shook his head. "You saved me. That's all that matters." Silence hung between them for a moment, only their breathing audible. Then Jack chuckled weakly. "I guess this means we're more than friends now, huh? Being chased by aliens is a pretty solid date." Lyra laughed softly despite the danger. "You're strange, Jack, and you're incredible," he said seriously. "You could have let them take me, but you didn't." She looked into his eyes, inches away in the dark. Because ... I care about you. Those words felt strange on her tongue, but right. She'd never said them to anyone before. Jack smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. I care about you, too. Faces were close now, the tension from the chase giving way to something warmer. Jack leaned in, gently kissing her lips. Lyra's eyes fluttered shut as the warmth of his mouth touched hers. It was gentle, slow, and real. For the first time, she wasn't just curious. She wanted this. She wanted him. Outside, the alien soldiers searched, their scanners sweeping the area, but Lyra's cloak held. For now, they were safe. As they held each other close, Lyra whispered, I'll protect you, no matter what. Jack squeezed her hand. Tay. And I'll protect you too, alien. Girl. In the dark of that forgotten building, amidst fear and danger, something new was born between them, something no scanner could detect. No commander could understand. Connection, trust, and perhaps ... love. Asterisk. The night stretched long inside the old warehouse where Lyra and Jack hid, surrounded by shadows and silence. Outside, the alien soldiers continued scanning the forest. Their devices occasionally buzzing with static, but they couldn't break through Lyra's cloaking field. It wouldn't last forever, though. The energy core was weakening, and Lyra knew it was just a matter of time before the hunters broke in. Inside, Lyra sat close to Jack, her hands trembling as she tried to repair her device with shaky fingers. Jack watched her carefully, his brow furrowed with concern. He could tell she was struggling, not just with the machine, but with her own emotions. Lyra, Jack said gently, you're shaking? Take a breath. She looked up, her large, shimmering eyes reflecting the faint moonlight streaming through a crack in the roof. I'm not used to this. Fighting my own people. For someone I'm not supposed to care about. Jack smiled faintly. You don't have to explain, but I'd still like to understand. Why does your species think we eat our partners? That's such a weird rumor. Lyra sighed, lowering her tools. For generations, the story spread that humans are violent, especially with those they mate with. The first observers saw kissing, biting, and close contact and misunderstood it all. On my planet, physical touch is almost always a form of aggression or control. So when we saw humans doing these things, ... we thought you were consuming each other, slowly. Jack laughed softly. That's both creepy and hilarious. So all this time, your people thought humans were dangerous because of kissing. Yes, she whispered, embarrassed. I watched you kiss that girl in the park. I saw how you bit her neck, and she smiled. I didn't understand. It looked like domination, but now I know it's not. Jack chuckled. It's not domination. It's connection. It's trust. When someone lets you that close, it means they trust you not to hurt them. Lyra looked down at her hands, fingers still trembling. We don't have that where I come from. No one trusts like that. No one touches unless they have to. Jack leaned in slightly. Then I'm glad I can show you. Lyra looked up, her heart fluttering. She had never met anyone like Jack. He was human, yes, but his kindness, his patience, it was nothing like the data she had studied. He treated her like a person, not a curiosity or a threat. Show me, she asked softly. Jack smiled. Yeah, I can show you what it's like. Real connection. Lyra hesitated, then nodded. But I don't understand how. Jack reached out slowly, giving her every chance to pull away. She didn't. His hand rested gently on hers. His touch was warm, not forceful. Touch doesn't have to be violent, he said. It can mean safety, comfort. He moved his fingers slowly over hers, and a strange shiver ran up Lyra's arm. No pain, just warmth. She stared at their hands, fascinated. It feels ... Good. Jack chuckled. That's the idea. Then he touched her cheek softly, brushing a stray silver hair behind her ear. Lyra closed her eyes for a moment, feeling his skin against hers. Her species had never taught her about intimacy not like this. Kissing ... Is this why you do it, to feel connection? She asked. Jack nodded. Exactly. And sometimes ... because you really, really want to. Lyra's cheeks flushed purple, her body reacting in ways she didn't fully understand. She whispered, "Can you ... show me again?" Jack's smile grew warmer. "Yeah, I'd be happy to." He leaned in slowly, and Lyra felt her heart racing. She didn't pull back. Their lips met, soft and gentle at first. Lyra's mind spun, with the sensation tender, warm, exciting. She let her body relax into it, feeling the connection growing between them. When they finally pulled apart, Lyra gasped quietly, touching her lips. "I didn't know something could feel like that." Jack smiled. "You'll get used to it." She giggled lightly, a sound unfamiliar to her, but pleasant. But then her expression darkened. "My people won't stop. They'll keep looking for you. For us." Jack's eyes hardened. "Then we'll keep running, or fight if we have to." "You'd fight them." "For me?" Lyra asked in awe. Jack nodded firmly. "You protected me back there. I owe you. And I care about you, Lyra. I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose you." Lyra's heart swelled with a feeling she couldn't define. She didn't want to lose Jack either. He had shown her a world of feelings, of connection she didn't think was possible. And she wanted more. Suddenly, the scanner on her wrist beeped. The soldiers were closing in again. Lyra's eyes filled with determination. "Then we have to move." Together, Jack stood up, holding her hand tightly. Together, they shared one last look, a silent promise between them. This wasn't just survival anymore. It was about something more, something worth fighting for. As they slipped into the shadows, hand in hand, Lyra realized something that changed her forever. She had come to Earth to understand human behavior, to spy and report. But instead, she had discovered something unexpected. Not just about humans, but about herself. She wanted to love. She wanted to feel. And most of all, she wanted Jack. The night air was cool as Lyra and Jack fled deeper into the forest, far from the alien soldiers who searched for them with scanners and energy rifles. They ran until their legs ached and their breaths burned in their chests. When they finally stopped, it was in a small clearing surrounded by tall trees, the moonlight casting silver patterns on the ground. Both of them collapsed to the grass. Gasping for air, but grateful to have escaped at least for now, Lyra stared up at the stars peeking through the branches, her heart still pounding. She couldn't believe the risks she had taken disobeying orders, attacking her own kind, running away with a human male. It was unthinkable on her world. Yet here she was, sitting beside Jack, his presence both strange and comforting. Jack turned his head, looking at her with a tired smile. "Still think humans are dangerous?" Lyra chuckled softly, shaking her head. "Not like I thought. You're dangerous in another way." "Oh, how so?" "You make me feel things I don't understand," she admitted quietly. Jack laughed gently. "Welcome to being human." They sat in silence for a while, catching their breath, neither of them ready to move. The danger still lingered around them, but for a moment, it didn't matter. All that mattered was the strange connection between them, something Lyra had never imagined possible. Jack broke the quiet. "Back in the warehouse, you kissed me back. You know that, right?" Lyra's cheeks turned a deep shade of violet. I did. Jack smiled warmly. Yeah, and I liked it. She looked away shyly. I didn't know what I was doing. Jack leaned closer. Would you like to try again? Properly this time. Lyra hesitated. The idea made her stomach flutter. People didn't kiss. Touch was rare. And kissing was completely alien. It was also something she couldn't stop thinking about since the first time Jack had shown her. She wanted to understand it. She wanted to feel it again. Yes, she whispered. But show me how. Jack's smile was gentle and patient. He sat up, turning to face her fully. It's not about technique. It's about feeling. About wanting to be close to someone. Lyra looked into his eyes, seeing sincerity and kindness. She nodded slowly. Jack leaned in, his movements soft and deliberate, giving her time to pull away if she wished. But she didn't move. She stayed still, heart racing, eyes wide with anticipation. When his lips finally touched hers, it was a spark warm, soft, and exciting. Lyra gasped slightly against his mouth, but Jack didn't rush. His lips moved slowly, gently pressing and pulling, teaching her through action. Lyra's eyes fluttered closed, her mind focusing entirely on the sensation. His hands rested lightly on her shoulders, steadying her, guiding her. She tried to mimic him, pressing back against his lips timidly at first, then a little bolder. It wasn't perfect. She was inexperienced, but she was learning, and more importantly, she was feeling. When they finally broke apart, Lyra sat back, her face flushed and her heart thumping loudly in her chest. She touched her lips with her fingers, still processing what had just happened. That was amazing, she whispered. Jack chuckled. You're a fast learner. Lyra smiled softly, a rare expression that felt new on her face. I want to learn more. Jack's eyes softened. I'll teach you everything you want to know, but only if you want. I do, she said without hesitation. Not because of my mission, not for my people. For me. They sat quietly again. The air between them warmer now, more intimate. Lyra felt something she couldn't name. It was more than curiosity, more than fascination. It was a desire to be close, to share, to connect in ways she never thought possible. But the danger wasn't over. Her wrist device buzzed softly on alert. The soldiers were still searching, moving closer. The cloak wouldn't hide them forever. We need to keep moving, she said, standing up quickly. Jack stood with her. Where will we go? Lyra thought for a moment. I know a place. There's an old satellite station. My people won't scan for us. They're writs too primitive by their standards. Jack nodded. Lead the way. As they walked, Lyra felt his hands slip into hers. She looked down at their joined hands and smiled quietly. On her planet, such a gesture would mean nothing. Here, it meant everything. For the first time in her life, Lyra wasn't just following orders. She wasn't just observing. She was living, feeling, experiencing something real. She had kissed a human. She had felt his warmth. And she wanted more, not just kisses, but moments like this. Moments of peace, laughter, connection. She looked up at the sky, the stars watching silently, and whispered to herself, I'm not going back. Not until I know what it truly means to feel human. Beside her, Jack smiled, squeezing her hand. Gently. Together, they stepped into the unknown fugitives. Yes, but also companions on a path neither of them fully understood yet. But they would face it together. Whatever came next, Lyra knew she wasn't afraid. Not anymore.